I am going to tell you the truth. All of it. The parts that make me look foolish. The parts that still hurt. And the one night, one freezing, desperate, midnight moment, that finally set me free. Stay with me. I grew up rich. And I don't say that to brag. I say it so you understand exactly how far I fell. My father was a respected man in our community. My mother wore her dignity like a second skin. We had a beautiful home, good food on the table every single night, and the kind of neighborhood where people nodded at you with respect when you walked by. I went to the best school. I wore pressed clothes. I never, not once as a child, had to worry about where the next meal was coming from. My father used to cup my face in his hands and say, "You are the light of our eyes, my daughter. We want the whole world for you." And I believed him. I smiled. I thought, yes, life will always feel like this. Here is what I did not understand back then. My parents weren't just giving me comfort. They were building something. Laying a foundation for a future I hadn't even imagined yet. Every sacrifice they made, every careful decision, every worried conversation I wasn't supposed to hear through the walls at night, it was all for me. I only understood that much later. Too late to matter. I was 15 years old the first time I saw him. He sat 3 rows from me in school. No designer shoes. No flashy attitude. No desperate need to impress anyone. He was just, still. Quietly, genuinely himself in a way that made everyone else seem like they were performing. I noticed him the way you notice a song playing from somewhere you can't quite find. He was poor. I knew it. His family struggled. His parents worked themselves to exhaustion just to keep the lights on. There was nothing extra. No cushion. No safety net. And my husband, the boy I had given up everything for, he was changing. Or maybe he had never been the person I imagined him to be. Maybe I had simply loved an idea of him, a version I had written myself, and the real man had always been a stranger. He didn't work. Not consistently. Not reliably. Money was a constant wound. Arguments filled every silence. And I carried all of it. The cooking. The cleaning. The managing. His moods, his family's expectations, his failures, and underneath everything, my own broken heart that I refused to let anyone see. At night, I would press a pillow against my face and cry without making a sound. I remember one particular night, exhausted down to my bones, I thought of my mother. Her voice. The specific, irreplaceable feeling of her hand moving slowly across my hair. And my heart whispered, if only you had listened to her. But the wedding had already happened. The bridge was already burned. So I told myself the same thing women have told themselves for generations. Be patient. It will get better. It didn't get better. Then I had a son. The moment they placed him in my arms, I cannot explain it to you. All those years of silent crying, all that swallowed pain, for one moment, none of it existed. I held him against my chest and whispered, "You are mine. Only mine. And I will protect you with everything I have." But a baby did not fix a broken marriage. It only showed me exactly how broken it was. Now I was doing everything I had been doing before, plus a newborn. No sleep. No rest. No help from a single person in that house. I was disappearing. Piece by piece. Becoming someone I didn't recognize. And then came the night. The night. My son was sick. Not sniffles and tired sick. Terrifyingly sick. His fever was so high his little eyes were rolling back. His cry had a sound in it I had never heard before, a sound that doesn't belong on a baby. The sound of something being wrong on the inside. I shook my husband awake. Please. You have to get up. Our son needs a hospital. Please. He looked at me. He turned over. He pulled the blanket up. And he went back to sleep. I stood in that dark room, holding my burning baby, and something happened inside me that I don't have a perfect word for. It wasn't anger. It was bigger than anger. It was the sound of something final. A thread I hadn't even known was holding me together, it snapped. Completely. Quietly. In the dark. I made a decision in that darkness. Not one more night. I was done being invisible in my own life. Done performing patience I didn't feel. Done waiting for a man to wake up who had been asleep, in every way that mattered, for years. My son's life was not going to be sacrificed for my pride. I packed what I could carry in one bag. I knocked on my neighbor's door, not for help, just so someone would know where I was going. So I wouldn't disappear into the night alone. And then I walked. In the cold. In the silence. On feet that hadn't rested in days. With my sick son pressed against my chest, burning with fever, I walked toward the only door I had always known would be open. My parents' home. I knocked at an hour when no decent person should be awake. My mother opened the door. She looked at me. Just looked, one long, full, slow look, and her face crumpled. She didn't ask questions. She didn't say I told you so. She didn't stand in the doorway and make me explain myself. She pulled me inside. She took my son from my arms. She sat me down like I was something fragile and precious, like I was still her little girl, who had never left, who had never made a terrible mistake, who had never broken her heart. She brought water. She brought food. And then she sat beside me, and she wrapped her arms around me, and she said, "My daughter. You have come home. That is all that matters. Everything will be all right now." And I, who had not cried in front of another human being in years, I completely fell apart. All of it came out at once. Every night I had swallowed. Every tear I had hidden. Every moment I had smiled when I was screaming on the inside. My father was already pulling his coat on. He took my son to the hospital without being asked. My son was treated. He recovered. And not one person in that house, not once, not ever, said you should have listened. That kind of love doesn't come with conditions. That kind of love just opens the door. The legal process happened. The marriage ended. I won't sugarcoat it, it was painful in every way you can imagine. People talked. People always talk. But I took full custody of my son, and I never looked back. He was mine. I was his. That was the whole world. Well-meaning people told me, you should remarry. A woman alone, it is too hard. I smiled at them. And I thought, I have been alone inside a marriage. This is easier. I poured every single thing I had into raising my son. Not because I was trying to prove something. But because he was everything, and I knew that if I did this one thing right, the rest of my life would find its shape. He grew up watching me. He watched me work when I was tired. He watched me smile when I was scared. He watched me hold my head up when there were 1,000 reasons to let it fall. And somewhere in all that watching, he became a man I am genuinely proud of. Not just because he is successful. Because he is good. Honest. Hard-working. The kind of man who keeps his word and treats people like they matter. He takes care of me now. Not because I asked, I have never asked. Because he wants to. Because he chooses to. And sometimes I look at him across the dinner table and I think, all of it. Every cold night, every cold night, every hidden tear, every year of silence, it was all the price of admission to this moment. Worth it. Every single second, worth it. Now let me speak directly to you. If you are young and in love and your parents are telling you no, I need you to stop right here and actually hear what I am about to say. They are not trying to control you. They are trying to save you the cost of a lesson that takes years of your life to learn. I know it doesn't feel that way. I know it feels like they don't understand you, like they're stuck in the past, like they couldn't possibly know your heart the way you do. I know, because that is exactly what I thought. But here is the truth I paid for in cold nights and silent tears and a midnight walk with a sick baby in my arms. Your parents have already lived the chapters you haven't read yet. They've seen what happens when the romance fades and what you're left with is just character, or the lack of it. Their hesitation isn't judgment. It is experience. Hard, lived, irreplaceable experience. I thought I was right and my father was wrong. I was wrong. And I don't say that to shame myself. I say it so maybe, just maybe, one person watching this doesn't have to learn it the same way I did. Here is what I wish someone had told me at 15. If you have to hide a relationship from the people who love you most, that hiding is your own heart trying to tell you something. Listen to it. If your parents say no, don't run. Talk. Ask them why. Really listen to the answer. You might disagree. You might ultimately choose differently. But at least choose with your eyes open, not a blindfold on. Because in the end, when the world gets cold, when the person you chose turns away from you in the dark, when you are standing there with a sick baby and no one to call, a mother's door is still open. Even at midnight. Even after years. Even after everything. This is my story.